Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Conor McGilligan channel. Hope you're all doing really well. Make sure you are slapping a like on the video, everybody. Make sure you're leaving your comments in the section below as well. And today, we're talking about Sunderland, and they've been perking my interest over the last week. Make sure, as I said, everybody, you're fully engaged on this. The interaction on the channel has been absolutely brilliant. And let's get into it, shall we? So Sunderland making a really big splash immediately into the transfer window. Listen, it's early on, isn't it? It is very, very early on. Obviously, the confirmation of Enzo Lefebvre on a obligation of which we all knew would happen if Sunderland reached the Premier League. Really decent signing. It had a bit of an interrupted championship campaign, I felt, but maybe in the Premier League, some players do acclimatise. You know, football isn't linear. If Enzo Lefebvre maybe can't get to the correct momentum and consistency in the championship, various reasons, the Premier League can fit players a lot better. And when you look at Sunderland's scouting and their recruitment and their plan, it feels like Enzo Lefebvre might work in the long term, but we'll have to wait and see. But today we're going to be speaking about signings of which Sunderland maybe should target and are targeting at the minute in terms of their preference and their obviously data recruitment plan, which since KLD has come in, has done an unbelievable job and has seen Sunderland's trajectory just go like this. What an unbelievable campaign he's had as owner of the football club. Today, we're going to be speaking about some of the players of which maybe they are targeting and players that they should be targeting. So let's get into it. To start off with, the goalkeeper, Marcin Bulka. Now, this was one that really pricked my ears. Formerly a Chelsea player, of course, has gone over to Nice, 26 years of age, is a monster, an absolute monster, which I think physicality is a big part of the Premier League. And I've mentioned this several times, but physicality is very, very important. And I do believe as a goalkeeper, he's commanding, he's robust. And I think when you look at it, he's kind of everything you need and what Sunderland need and what all of the promoted teams now need when you look at the likes of James Trafford seemingly leaving Burnley for Sunderland's rivals, Newcastle. Everybody needs a goalkeeper between the sticks who's going to provide you with that level of security, but that level of quality in terms of being able to play out from the back, which is the modern goalkeeper. But I sometimes think it's massively overlooked. The handling of a goalkeeper, the just basic premise, goalkeeper coming out and claiming from corners. I felt when I've looked at Patterson, there maybe needs to be a little bit of a goalkeeper, in my opinion, in the Premier League who needs to be a little bit of a better distributor. I think sometimes his handling can be found wanting. So I think having a little bit of competition when it comes to a goalkeeper, someone like Marcin Bulka would have been great. That seems like he's actually going to Neom. So it doesn't look like Sunderland are going to be going in for him anymore, and that's been taken away from him. I would actually add experience. I think Sunderland need experience drastically in this team. And I've mentioned several times that I do think this whole Premier League experience can sometimes be a little bit overdone. You know, Premier League experience, you can go to the continent, as Sunderland have done in the Championship. You can go to the continent and get some fantastic bargains out there. Isidore, Mienda, players of that ilk who can come in and really, with their attributes, acclimatise to the English pyramid. But the Premier League is a different level. It is 7 tiers away from the Championship in terms of quality, and Sunderland need to strip back that sentiment and really look at improving on several positions. I think they maybe need 6 or 7 players to come in to start, and that's what we're talking about right now. So when you're looking at Marcin Bulka, great target, but I would actually maybe look at a Sam Johnston, or if Sunderland can, a Georgia Petrovic at Chelsea, who's had no errors this season whatsoever, has been excellent for Strasbourg. But it looks like, and obviously Strasbourg have now got a little bit of a relationship with Sunderland, which we'll get onto in a little bit. But Georgia Petrovic will be a really nice signing, someone who I think, once again, with his attributes, can acclimatise into the Premier League. Very similar in terms of that style of goalkeeper to obviously a Marcin Bulka. Would be a little bit more expensive from what we understand. You know, it seems seemingly Chelsea looking for around about 25 million. But if you want that goalkeeper position and you want that similar profile to someone like Marcin Bulka, who is going to be in demand, goalkeepers like that, because they're what you want. He's a really good distributor out from the back, dominant, only 25 years of age. So for me, Georgia Petrovic would be a really nice signing for Sunderland. But similar profiles, but Sam Johnston as well. We're all aware of him. 31 years of age right now. I think that Sunderland side drastically needs experience, and that's what I would be looking at. I think what was really important as well, that Sunderland made an addition at left back. I think Sirkin needed a little bit more competition in comparison to what he did have with Leo Yelda next season. That is just a step up in quality when it comes to the Premier League. So I think Sunderland have done a really good job there. Will he start, or will Sirkin start? I think Sirkin's got a lot of attributes that fit really nicely into the Premier League, so I have to wait and see on that one. He's got an Atletico Madrid left back who's got some bags full of experience, a really good leadership level as well at 31 years of age. And I think Ronaldo is a really decent signing for Sunderland. So he will provide key experience. This is what Sunderland need to bring in right now. It's not just It's not just Premier League experience, but what they do need to bring in is experience from the continent as well. I remember Forest doing a very, very similar thing. I think at fullbacks, they need a little bit of help as well. You're looking at the other side. I do remember watching Trey Hume up against Anthony Gordon in that one game. Sorry, Sunderland fans. But in that one game that Newcastle played against Sunderland, I thought, as Anthony Gordon skipped past him for about the fourth time, you did think to yourself, they are the levels of which we're looking at here when it comes to the Premier League. Something to bear in mind there. But I think they may need to invest in another right back as well. But they're making some good moves. I think Ronaldo is a really decent acquisition. I think the target profile of someone like Marcin Bulka, I think the alternative would be someone like Georgia Petrovic. If you want to go for Premier League experience, which everybody speaks about, you can go for Sam Johnston. Let's move a little bit further up the pitch. Habib Diarra, fantastic signing. Beating Leeds United to the signing of Diarra. I would say from a Leeds United perspective as well, guys, and I have mentioned this before, Leeds went in with 23 million quid. Habib Diarra and Sunderland agreed a fee of 30 million quid. Now let's just look at the profile of who he is. Box-to-box midfielder, tenacious, covers ground extremely well. His heat map is just red all across the pitch, and that just suggests to you that the energy and endeavour and the quality of Habib Diarra, captain of Strasbourg at such a young age as well. I think Sunderland have got a real quality player there, of which what they could offer in comparison to Leeds United. Not only did they offer more money, but as well, Joe Bellingham moving on gives you almost that player to move into. You've got Habib Diarra moving in, replacing Joe Bellingham in there, which is really important. A little bit of box-to-box, different height, obviously, and you look at the Premier League and you think of some of the monsters in the Premier League. Does Sunderland need to buff that up a little bit more? When you look at some of the smaller profiles in there, I'm looking at Chris Rigg and Dan Neil in particular. Do they need to bulk up in terms of the physicality and athleticism of the Premier League? I think that's something to consider. I've seen Josh Da Silva being murmured around as well. You've seen Jordan Henderson being murmured around as well. That gives you a little bit more athleticism and physicality when it just comes to presence. I know that sounds ridiculous, but set pieces. 3 of the promoted teams last season were in the bottom 5 when it came to set pieces, which that has to be drastically improved. That is a marginal gain of which all the promoted teams, if they're better offensively and defensively from set pieces, it is a shoo-in that you're going to do, incrementally better in the Premier League, and you need all those fine margins. So that's what I'd be looking at. I would be looking at someone for Trey Hume. I think they've done a really good job in terms of left back with the likes of Ronaldo, and now obviously they've got Dennis Cirkin there. I like that. I would be looking at bringing in centre backs as well. I think Sunderland need, for me, a little bit more rapid, robust central defenders. I'm not sure, and look, Sunderland fans, I know you love him a lot. I get that. Luke O'Nien for me isn't a Premier League player. I think you need to get, or at least he's a bench option. I think Sunderland needs to get a lot more sustenance in there. Guys, you've got to strip back that sentimentality. You've got to strip it back, and you've got to look at these Premier League profiles. Let's be dead serious here. I think Enzo Lefebvre has been a really decent signing for them. I think Diarra is a quality addition in response to replacing Joe Bellingham. Do they need another one in there? Josh Da Silva, Henderson have been the rumoured names. Now, this is a person that I spotted a while ago. I'm a big keen fan of Serie A, and this man shouldn't have been playing in Serie B this season. Armand Loriente, absolute superstar, in my opinion. Sunderland's #1 target, apparently, and if they do get him, balance, speed, efficiency when it comes to putting the ball in the back of the net, excellent link-up play. I think him and Dennis Cirkin could be very, very impactful as well on that left-hand side. Armand Loriente had an exceptional relationship with Josh Doig last season as well. Very similar players in terms of Doig and Dennis Cirkin as well. I like that. I like that combination. So Sunderland doing some really good business there. If they get that one done for 17 million quid as well, mamma mia, it's a really good deal there. But for me as well, that replaces a little bit of what you lose from Tom Watson. You've got sort of Romain Mundle out there as well, cutting inside. He's only young. This is why it screams to me with Sunderland. It has to be experienced. I mean, if you can bring that out from the back as well, when you look at someone like Sam Johnston, if you can add it to Georgie Petrovic as well at Chelsea, you're bringing in experienced players there to mesh with a lot of these younger bodies that Sunderland have got. Rigg, Mundle, Dan Neil, it's a lot. It's a lot. Patterson's not the oldest, is he? So I think Sunderland have started this quite nicely. I think the signing of Diarra was a bit of a statement as well. 30 million quid. I would, if I'm Sunderland, be looking at bringing in a very good goalkeeper who can add competition to Anthony Patterson, probably start ahead of him as well. I'd be looking at bringing in sustenance when it comes to centre-backs as well. Maybe one in there, potentially 2, another right back as well. And a lot of what Sunderland are, maybe a backup central centre forward. But I do like Sunderland's front two. I like Mienda. I like Isidore. I don't think they have to go too heavy on a striker. I think Isidore can make it at Premier League level. I like Mienda a lot. So there's a lot. It sounds like there needs to be a lot done here, but it is just that level of the Premier League. And I think all of the promoted sides need to do a hell of a lot to their teams to stay up. Sunderland especially are the key ones to know, because obviously they've not had those parachute payments and they've not been able to build that squad up from coming down from the Premier League and going back up, being effectively that yo-yo side, which so many of these Championships Premier League clubs have. So it's a bigger task for Sunderland. They do have the pull. Looks like they have the money. And of course, the recruitment, but there could be some interesting loan additions as well here when it comes to Sunderland, potentially at right back, potentially at centre back as well, potentially up front as sustenance for the two up top. But I think they look serious, Sunderland. They look really serious. I like the players that they're going in for. These three in particular on this side in particular have made me go, okay. But the profile as well of Marcin Bulka, I think was a good one that they were going for. They're going to attack it again. It's only the 30th of June. Are Sunderland looking a little bit serious? Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.